What routers are supported? IPVanish VPN. Currently, we offer best effort support for high-end RT series Asus routers running either stock Azure firmware or the custom Asus Merlin firmware, and also DDWRT and Tomato flashed routers. We will assist in the configuration of the router, but not in the flashing/installation of the Azure Merlin, DDWRT, or Tomato operating systems on your router. If you would like to try to install DDWRT or Tomato firmware on your router, but you are uncomfortable with installing firmware on your router, we recommend that you take a look at flash routers or SABI technology for routers with DDWRT or Tomato pre-installed, and in some cases, pre-configured. They both offer their own support in case you need help with configuration. Will DDWRT, Tomato, Azure or Azure Merlin firmware work on my router? Installing DDWRT on your router. To determine if your existing router is compatible with the DDWRT operating system, go to the DDWRT website and search for your router model number. DDWRT also offers cutting-edge alpha and beta pre-releases of the operating system that can support newer routers that don't yet appear in their router database. You will need to perform a web search for your router model number and DDWRT to find out if there is a compatible release that will work with your router. Installing Tomato on your router. To determine if your router is compatible with the Tomato operating system, go to the Tomato website or this website, and see if your router model number is compatible. Please note that there are different editions of the Tomato operating system, each with their own focus. Some will offer support for routers that others will not. The most common versions for routers include, but are not limited to, Tomato USB, Shibi, and Toastman. Installing Azure Merlin on your router. To determine if your router is compatible with the Azure Merlin firmware, see this list of compatible Asus routers. Please note, there are different versions of the Azure Merlin firmware, a legacy version for older Asus routers and the latest version for newer models. Visit the official Azure Merlin website for instructions on how to install the firmware on your Asus router. Installing Azure on your router. If you own a newer Asus RT series router, Azure firmware is installed on your router from the factory. Always remember to log into your router and check your system notifications to make sure your factory firmware is up to date to ensure you have access to the latest Azure features. Setting up DDWRT, Tomato, Azure, or Azure Merlin to work with IPVanish. Once installed, you can navigate over to our VPN setup page for guides on how to configure Tomato or DDWRT for use with our VPN. For Asus routers, see our Azure or Azure Merlin setup guides. Disclaimer: the content contained on any referenced third-party website has initially been confirmed as being useful and relevant to the current topic, but is not routinely checked for continued relevance or any other changes that may have been made. IPVanish cannot assume responsibility for content found on those sites. How many IPVanish VPN connections will your router use? If you follow IPVanish's instructions, your router will use one connection and share it with many devices. It would count as one of the 10 IPVanish allows.